As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, it's officially Friday, and that means the weekend is right around the corner. But unfortunately, that weekend being paired with some dangerously cold temperatures. Welcome into the Room to Room Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Gabe here for Mississippi Live Weather at 10. And yes, the cold headlining our broadcast tonight because of the dangers that it brings. A lot of folks still without power, thousands actually. And when we pair that with some of those significantly colder temperatures, that's where we're looking at those dangerous, potentially life-threatening forecast over the top of us. And then that breezy Saturday ahead. And why we put "brr" in front of it is because those breezy conditions actually going to make it feel so much colder in the forecast. So that first word right there, very fitting to describe our Saturday ahead. Luckily, as we look ahead in the forecast, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And I know that's what a lot of folks want to hear here in North Mississippi after the week that they've had. And again, that week wrapping up, and that means new opportunities ahead and, of course, a better forecast once we get into next week. Tracking all of that here in just a moment, but unfortunately, we do have to talk about the here and now, and the here and now does contain some of those cold temperatures. We're 20 degrees by 11 p.m. Wrap your mind around that. I mean, this time yesterday, it was already pretty cold, but nowhere near this margin. And as we get into those overnight hours, low teens not being ruled out at all. And of course, that's going to be cold in and of itself. But look at these winds, guys. We're talking 10, 15, gusts up to 20 to 25 miles an hour coming out of the north. And that's what's going to allow that even colder feeling air, the ones where you don't want to go outside to feel. Yeah, that type of air is going to be in the forecast for our Saturday. Now, as we take a look outside right now, of course, getting a look out of our Tupelo camera there with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. Big thank you to the folks at Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling for giving us a look out of Tupelo here in Lee County. Great to see lights in the area. Tom Bigby doing a fantastic job of getting all of those power outages restored. And we are proud to say, and of course, me being proud because I'm here in Lee County, proud to say that there are no outages as of right now in the Tom Bigby coverage area. That being said, there are still thousands, and that's where thousands of outages, and that's where that dangerous forecast does come into play. Of course, some folks included within that is over in Panola County, Batesville, 25 degrees. A lot of folks still without power, and we are saying our prayers over there, hoping that everyone has made preparations with these cold temperatures because, I mean, go ahead and look at this forecast. 25 degrees, winds coming out of the north at 7 miles an hour, and feels like 17 already. And the night's just beginning. A lot of cooling down to take place overnight. So again, say an extra prayer, go ahead, and if you are without power, go ahead and gather together, find that warmth, and do whatever you can to stay warm tonight. And that, of course, will carry over into our Sunday as well. Columbus right now, 28 degrees, feels like 19, a little bit more breezy down there in Lowndes County. And folks still out and about, and I assume that every single one of those cars have their heaters on as we get into those overnight hours. Those extreme cold warnings are in effect expiring Saturday at 9 a.m., but that does encompass a large part of North Mississippi, including some parts that are still dealing with those winter weather effects from last weekend. Clarksdale, Cleveland, Greenville included within that, but again, expiring early Saturday. But don't worry, or don't worry is not the right terminology there. It does carry over into our Sunday as well, but not going to be the extreme cold warnings. I know, a little bit of a step back, cold weather advisories, but that's going to wrap up by noon on our Sunday. Basically, this is a step back, meaning those wind chills, they're not going to be at or below zero. They're going to be 1 to 10 degrees for those feels like values. So again, it's a difference, but unfortunately it doesn't really make you feel different because it's still unbearably cold outside and we still need to be making those preparations. I mean, let's look at temperatures right now. We're 18 Senatobia, 15 Holly Springs, 23 Water Valley, and 28 there towards the Golden Triangle. Now watch the difference. Changing it over to those feels like values, single digits for a large part of Northwest Mississippi, Tunica, Senatobia, Holly Springs, South Haven, all feeling in the single digits. Mid-teens there for Chickasaw, Calhoun, and Yalobusha County, and even down around the Golden Triangle. There were 28, feeling like 21 due to those cold winds moving in from the north. So yes, dangerous forecast tonight. Layer up, grab those blankets, grab anything you can that'll keep you warm overnight because that's going to be essential as we get into the start of our Saturday. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar, not tracking anything on that as of right now. Potentially a few flakes up there towards Tennessee, but we don't expect that to make it all the way to the surface. I mean, all of this clutter that's up there towards the Tennessee state line, that's going to be much more elevated, just not exactly a saturated surface for us in North Mississippi. So a large part of this just not making it all the way to the ground. Fortunately, because I don't think anyone in North Mississippi wants any more winter weather, and I don't have any of that in our forecast overnight. As we keep this futurecast moving, you can see a large part of that moisture still up there towards Tennessee, but primarily going to be East Tennessee. I did get a photo earlier, a video, should I say, from Murfreesboro, getting that light dusting overhead. Fortunately, Murfreesboro, a long ways away from us in North Mississippi, and that's where that low will continue to develop some of those showers into those overnight hours. But again, not going to be in North Mississippi. Our northern wind driving our forecast and keeping those dry, but unfortunately cold conditions around even into the start of our Saturday. As we get into those lunchtime hours, you can still see those breezy conditions overhead as high pressure builds into the area, keeping our forecast dry through the weekend, but yeah, it's just going to be cold. And so there's always a cost with the forecast, unfortunately. Whenever we get the day that it is clear and warm, call me because I will be excited about that forecast. You'll hear me smiling through the phone, but that is not going to be our Saturday or Sunday. Very cold throughout the day despite those dry conditions overhead. But even as we get into those overnight hours Saturday, you can see the sky starting to clear. That makes way for even colder air. But fortunately, wind's taking a bit of a step back, so wind chill is not going to be as much of a factor. But those actual temperatures, they could be even colder Sunday morning than what we're going to get Saturday morning. So yes, we're going to be cold this weekend. But what are we tracking beyond that point? Well, we do have a milder forecast ahead with some limited rain chances as well. And we're also going to hear from our Ethan Foster. You might have thought, well, Gabe, where are the highlights? It's game of the week time. No, unfortunately, our game of the week got moved to Saturday. We're still going to get you those highlights in that coverage, but that's going to be with our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, on Saturday. And, of course, our Ethan Foster providing those to us. But he is going to join us tonight and tell us some of his predictions and a little bit of a preview on that matchup. And a big thank you to the folks at Casey Lott for sponsoring that and allowing us to continue our coverage on high school basketball. We'll bring that all your way coming up in the next 60.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
I know temperatures have been cold, but some of the sights across North Mississippi have been absolutely breathtaking, including up there in Union County. Jamie submitting this photo through our Weather Watcher submission tab. And as you can see, that sunset there in the distance, some of that cloud cover still lingering. And I love the pictures with the silo, or at least some of the environment that's being able to shown, or to be shown, or at least a silhouette of it. And we're getting exactly that. Now, Union County continues to get better and better whenever we're talking about those power outages. Like I mentioned earlier, Tom Bigby officially clear of those outages, but unfortunately, folks out towards the north and especially northwest dealing with those outages still today. Clarksville, right now, 26 degrees, 14 miles an hour out of the north. That wind chill is going to be the big factor in our forecast, making those feels like values. You see it, 16 degrees. That's unbearable. I mean, that's what Pitter Pat was saying there in the chat, that this cold is just awful. We don't want any of it. I agree with you on that. And I hate that I'm forecasting it for this weekend. If we could control things, trust me, it'd be sunny and 75. But not this forecast. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to sway the forecast except through our prayers. But hey, I've seen miracles happen. And let's just go ahead and say a little bit of a prayer. A prayer for warmer weather, but also a prayer for folks to stay warm as we get into those overnight hours. Pontotoc, 27 degrees, again with those 14-mile-an-hour winds out of the north. Feels like values at 15. It is a cold forecast for sure. And 31 degrees, West Point, Clay County, feels like values there at 20. It's just uncomfortably cold into those overnight hours, and we do expect that to continue into our Saturday and Sunday. Looking at those high temperatures this weekend, upper 20s Saturday, mid 30s there by Sunday, but those bitter cold mornings. Let's go ahead and look at those cold mornings. 14 Saturday morning, 13 Sunday morning. That's not even including wind chills yet, but those temperatures by themselves are more than enough to give us that uncomfortable cold forecast and tell us that we need to find ways to stay warm, because this is potentially dangerous if we do not make the proper preparations. And that does include, of course, ways to stay warm, but also ways to stay warm in the right fashion. We've seen carbon monoxide issues whenever we're talking about taking some lives, but injuring folks in the process. We want everyone to stay safe. We want everyone to come out of this, and we will if we make the proper precautions getting into this forecast. Extreme cold warnings are in place until Saturday at 9 a.m., and those advisories do continue until Sunday at noon, and that does encompass all parts of North Mississippi, meaning that everyone is getting this cold weather. Got to thank high pressure for that. Temperatures right now across the region, we continue to see some this is on a loop, but unfortunately it's on a loop, so we'll wait for it to, let's just go ahead and advance it. Hopefully it's on a loop here too. It is, unfortunately. Well, you guys get the message right there. Feels like values getting into the single digits into those overnight hours. We'll assess that in a little bit more detail, but we talked about it a moment ago. You know what to expect. Now we just need to make those preparations. The one good thing with our forecast is our Mama Justice Doppler radar keeping our skies pretty clear of anything happening up there. If I move it over towards our Memphis radar site real quick, I want to take a look at some of those elevated flakes that are trying to make their way into northeast Mississippi. But I mean, folks in Corinth, Iuka, haven't heard a report from them so far of any flakes reaching the surface. So what this tells me is a large part of it is elevated, still a very dry surface here in North Mississippi. And I think we're staying away from any of those potential flakes. So no impacts going to be in that forecast. That's one positive with this next couple of hours. Day planner tonight, 19 degrees by midnight. We're seeing 15 degrees on our Saturday morning. So all the more reason to sleep in with this cold air that's overhead and those winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Ooh, it's going to be cold, cold, cold. I just cannot get over how cold it's going to be. So Futurecast highlighting exactly that, those breezy conditions. I mean, if you look at the tails on these wind barbs, that basically tells you the speed that they're coming in at, and that's going to be a very breezy forecast. Like we mentioned, 10 to 15 miles an hour, partly cloudy skies overhead, but no moisture going to be attached to it, meaning that we stay dry into the start of our Saturday. Should be a beautiful sunrise across North Mississippi as we do see a break in that cloud cover. So if you can handle the cold, highly recommend going ahead and looking at that sunrise, but these low temperatures are going to make it come at a cost with 12 degrees in Oxford, 15 Tupelo, 13 Grenada, 16 Starkville, 14 out in Vernon, Alabama. Everywhere you look, you see the teens, and it just gets even worse with the wind chill. I mean, we're still talking about negative feels like values for folks in Union, Prentice, Alcorn, Tishomingo, Tippah, Benton, Marshall, Lafayette, Tate, Tunica, as well as DeSoto County. All of those counties that have been impacted by last weekend's winter storm, now dealing with this winter impact in the form of cold weather. So stay safe, stay warm, and a large portion of that area also having power outages. So I do hope that you heed those warnings that we said earlier on today of getting to those warming shelters. It'll be very much worth your while with the cold forecasts coming in. For the rest of us, though, single digits, right at zero. It's not exactly feeling much better. So everywhere dealing with that cold air, but luckily down south, you have a little bit more power in those counties. And so hopefully you do have that heat running tonight to keep you warm. As we get into our Saturday morning forecast, staying dry, like we mentioned, and a few breaks in that cloud cover once again. As we get into our afternoon forecast, some of that cloud cover does get a little bit more dense. And so we're talking about partly cloudy skies. The fortunate thing, no moisture going to be attached to it. So no rainfall. No winter precipitation. So again, some positives we can take from this forecast. It's just all of this dry air is coming at a cost with these temperatures. As we get into our Saturday evening, you can see that these temperatures not going to be anything better. I mean, they'll be better, but not really when we're talking about the grand scheme of things, because we're not getting above freezing at any point of our Saturday. We see 27 New Albany, 26 Senatobia, 27 Clarksdale, 28 Greenwood, 29 Kosciuszko, Louisville, and Macon. So folks, it's well above our normal. But it's just being below freezing, all of that for that long of a time frame makes it a very scary forecast and a dangerous forecast with that cold air lingering around. So I want everyone to know, get prepared now, and it'll be very much worth your while through this weekend. As we get Saturday night into our Futurecast and of course the Sunday morning hours, you can see that there is a little bit of cloud cover, but overall, still a dry forecast. And that's one thing we can continue to look forward to as we get our Sunday morning started, because when you look at these temperatures, you're going to be looking for the positives, because it's definitely not when it comes to this temperature forecast. 9 degrees Holly Springs Sunday morning, 11 in Boonville, 11 in Houston, 15 Starkville, 16 Belzona. Again, everywhere you look, you're seeing a significantly lower temperature than what you actually want it to be. And unfortunately, that's just been the pattern that we're in, and that will stick around all weekend long. And these wind chills will stick around as well, with the just bone-chilling temperatures across the region. 7 degrees feels like values for Amory and Columbus, 9 in Macon and Louisville. Luckily, the further west you go, you do have some calmer winds, meaning that the wind chill not going to play as much of a factor, but nonetheless, we're still in the teens for feels like values. That's enough to go ahead and make those preparations. Sunday morning into your Sunday afternoon, our church service is going to be beautiful. Unfortunately, just going to be cold. So churches out there, make sure you have that heat cranked if at all possible. And as we get into that lunchtime hour, continue to see those clear conditions remain in the forecast. So Sunday shaping up to be a beautiful day as well, but beautifully cold at that. As we get into our Sunday afternoon, not impossible to get a few light showers in the area, but again, not sold on this completely. This is some new development that our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will track throughout your Sunday as we get into our Saturday broadcast at 6 and 10. So tune in to what he has to say, but I will definitely say this is going to be a talking point, because I'm not fully sold on this. This is a brand new development on the latest HRRR model, so we'll see how this continues to develop into the weekend, but not at all impossible to maybe see some of those light showers make their way into North Mississippi. Fortunately, we are above that freezing mark, so I do expect this to be mostly rainfall if we do get anything at all. But again, it's battling a very dry atmosphere, and I don't expect it to do too much in regards to impacts. 38 degrees Houston Sunday afternoon, 35 Boonville and Iuka, 38 Water Valley and Grenada, 37 Greenwood, as well as over there towards Greenville. As we look at that 7-day forecast, it's going to be a cold weekend, but we have not even touched on next week. And guys, things are looking so much better. 49 degrees already by Monday afternoon, into the mid-50s Tuesday. Where you been? Been long enough since we've been in the 50s, and we will definitely take any bit of that we can get. Big reason why is we do have a frontal system pushing into the region that's going to give us some rain chances. Rain chances, not wintry mix chances. No, this is all just rain for our Tuesday and Wednesday. And once that does clear out, a little bit of a dip in those temperatures is expected, but we are at least excited to see that things are getting better. This is that light at the end of the tunnel that I was talking about at the start of the show. So we do have something to look forward to. We just do have to get through this weekend, and this weekend is dangerous. That's how cold these temperatures will be. And so I hope that you guys have done what you needed to do to stay safe and, of course, stay warm. Trying to look through the chat. So what about Prentiss County and Boonville? One thing I want to do real quick before we jump into our sports is look at power outages across the region, because one of the things that we've been tracking is, of course, how these have progressed, and a large part of our counties have progressed in the right direction. If you look, I mean, Lee and Itawamba County at 0, and that's a big thanks to the hard work at Tom Bigby, but even Pontotoc County, 16%, that's much better than what it once was. Prentiss County, 10%, that has trended way down, so shout out to those power cooperatives all across North Mississippi, because these numbers are looking better and better. As we look up there towards Tippah County, 59.5%. I remember 48 hours ago, that was well over 95. As we look at Benton County, that number is coming down as well. A large part of that is those connection lines that are being restored, and of course those power cooperatives getting out and then getting location by location as we get into those the next couple of days. Oxford trending much better, 39.5%. Panola County, 49%. Again, these locations were in the well over 50 percentile as we looked at those power outages. So fortunately, that is coming down. Tishomingo as well, coming down a good bit, and we hope that that continues to be restored by the weekend. I hope when I talk to you guys on Monday that we're not seeing a single power outage across North Mississippi. So for folks that were asking about that, they have gotten better. Some parts of Prentiss County, let me see who that was asking specifically about that. That was Pam. Was it Pam? I might have gone too far. That was Pat. Yeah, so Prentiss County looking better. There are some locations that are looking better in regards to power outages being restored. And do they know if they can travel safely to and from Memphis? One of the things that will come at a cost is, of course, okay, hang on. Prentiss County, I don't know if I can do it on this computer, but Prentiss County, 10% is a little bit low. I'm being told by some folks up there in Prentiss County, my wife letting me know because she is a teacher up there at Boonville, and so she has a lot of connections up there, and so she's letting me know that 10% is a little bit low, but I will say those numbers have came down significantly. An exact number, that might vary a little bit, but either way, power crews are out there. They're trying to get things working in the right direction. Is 22 better to travel on? Pat asking that question. I would say it has gotten better. I would say travel's not advised still, especially with the cold over the weekend, but it's definitely better than what it once was. I just, again, would try and avoid it for the time being and let crews get out there to clear it up. Finally got power in Randolph. That was Justin. Justin, that is fantastic news. And it's definitely just a welcoming sight to see some of these numbers come down across North Mississippi. And we're excited to see that continue into our weekend and, of course, into early parts of next week, especially when those temperatures get above freezing. But what is also coming up this weekend? Our game of the week. I know it's usually on Friday, but we had to change things up because the game is actually at 2 p.m. We didn't want to dip out on our game of the week because we know this is going to be a fantastic matchup, but we are just basically moving all of that coverage to Saturday, and our Ethan Foster will be there to get all the highlights and the latest coverage on that. But he actually joins us now. Yes, on your Friday night, telling us a little bit of a preview on that matchup. Ethan, welcome into the show. I see that you're not in your usual location of On the Hardwood, but hey, you'll be there tomorrow. You know, what exactly can you tell us about this matchup?
Well, absolutely, Gabe. Glad to be here, even if it's a little unconventional for what everybody's used to. But, Gabe, what I can tell you about this matchup is, again, we've had some really good ones the last couple of weeks. Calhoun City, Okolona, boys game last week. We saw Tisch County 2 weeks ago. But this week, of course, we've got the Houston Hilltoppers and the Shannon Red Raiders, two teams that I know are going to be chomping at the bit for different reasons. So you got the Hilltoppers right now. Their girls basketball team, of course, our focus is the girls this week. Right now, the Hilltoppers are first in 4A Region 2. They're currently ranked 63rd best overall in the state. And for those of you who aren't aware, there are 297 girls basketball teams in the state, according to Max Preps. Use Max Preps a lot to get my game data, scheduling, rosters, things like that. And then, of course, Houston is 16-8 overall for the season. So undefeated in district play right now, 5-0. Their last game was a 58-39 win over the Morville Troopers. They actually played that game yesterday. But, Gabe, can I tell you a little bit about the Shannon Red Raiders right here, too?
Tell me a little bit about them.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you exactly what you need to know about the Red Raiders tonight. They're not far behind Houston. They're in the same region as Houston. So we got a pure 4A Region 2 matchup coming at you tomorrow on a Saturday of all things. This week's just been crazy all around. But even for basketball, still a good matchup. Now, here's the thing about Shannon, Gabe. Coming into tonight, they were ranked third in 4A Region 2. But actually, as of right now, as of a couple of hours ago, actually, after the Morville-Hamilton game, they actually are in the fourth place spot because of a head-to-head matchup, and I'll mention that again here in just a second. But Shannon, compared to Houston, Shannon is ranked 158th best team in the state. Again, that's out of 297. So Houston is ranked just a little bit higher, twice as low on the rank Shannon is compared to Houston. Of course, when it comes down to the hardwood, that doesn't always matter as much. But Shannon's last game was also against Morville. The Morville Troopers getting 3 mentions tonight. They're not even the game of the week. But Shannon actually lost to Morville 55-46 over a week ago. This is actually something interesting that I found while I was doing a little game prep. This game was last Thursday, Gabe, okay, before all of the ice and snow.
Last Thursday is in yesterday, right?
No, last week as in the 22nd, Gabe.
Oh, 22nd. Okay.
So, yeah, exactly. It's weird, right? So something I was thinking is, Shannon has, we think about college sports, and football specifically is what I think about when you think about having a week off. But basketball is different because you're used to playing multiple games a week. So I'm thinking, does Shannon have this edge because they've had a week to come off of the Morville loss, get ready, prepared? But is that a disadvantage when you've got a red-hot Houston team who's looking to finish out a perfect district run as we're getting closer and closer to the start of our tournaments to end the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the fact that, Houston could wrap it all up undefeated in district play, and this being a district matchup, especially with a third-place team. Basketball, does it matter as much with football, whenever it comes to seedings? Is it kind of first seed always makes it, or can the second and third seed make it as well?
Yeah, so the way it works in basketball is just a little bit different. But I will say that when it comes to the 4A tournament, 5A, 6A, 3A, 2A, whatever classification you're talking about, you're pretty much going to have the number one seeds for each region. And then you're also going to have the 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each region as well. And I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I may have just said that completely wrong. I was looking at one of the brackets earlier because high school sports, there's so much more to it than I think people realize. It's not just, we're on the high school level, so let's dumb it down to the high school level. I would say it's a little bit more complicated than at the college level. It seems like it's a lot easier to understand, but people watching that understand the in-depth workings of the tournaments in each region, I'm sure will have me corrected and have me right in the comments. But as I was looking at it earlier, really the thing you need to know is what you want is you want that number one seed in each region, because that will guarantee you a matchup against the 4th seed, okay? The same way that kind of, tournaments work on a larger scale, you want to have that top seed so you get a better matchup. And again, Gabe always says I'm the basketball expert. I'm not perfect, so I'm definitely prone to mistakes there. And, I wasn't a baller in high school. I played for a few years in junior high. Gabe's got a little bit on me as far as that goes. But Gabe, before we wrap this up, because I know we got limited time, one thing that I do want to do is one of my favorite parts of this segment each week, and that is when I give you my pick of the week. Now, Gabe, do you know what my record is so far in our 3 games of the week that I've been a part of?
I feel like you've been pretty solid. Are you undefeated?
We're 3-0.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Gabe, I'm feeling good about going 4-0 this week. Now, as the people out at home would know, probably my favorite piece of hardware up to this point was the Tisch County hard hat. Last week, we had the Calhoun City blackout football helmet. That was really nice. The Wildcats kept scratching on. This week, I'm at home, as so many of us are. And because we're not having a typical week, I had to do a little bit of an atypical pick tonight. Not as far as the team goes, but the piece of hardware I've got tonight is not even a piece of hardware. I actually just decided to draw this up, and this is who we got. I'm going with H-Town. The Hilltoppers are taking the win tomorrow. They're going to be 6-0 in district play after the game tomorrow. It's at 2 o'clock in Shannon. I'll be there. Red Raiders, you got the home court advantage, but I think these Hilltoppers are going to take this game of the week tomorrow. Of course, we want to thank our game sponsors, Langston and Lott PLLC, for allowing us to do this every week. It's a lot of fun. We can't thank them enough. You heard Gabe mention that earlier, but again, shout out to our sponsors for our Mississippi Live Sports Game of the Week, Langston and Lott PLLC. We thank you so much for allowing this to happen, even in a week that has been crazier and crazier each day, it seems like, and we're going to be back down really, really cold tomorrow. So I'm going to be bundled up tomorrow. But one thing I do have to say, for those of you that know me, I married a Morville gal. I'm a Hamilton guy. You heard Morville and Hamilton mentioned earlier. And as a good friend of mine who I used to work with, who's from Houston, used to tell me, I always told him that Hamilton was the real H-Town. But guess what, Gabe? You see that right there? He always told me that Houston was the real H-Town. And tomorrow, that's going to ring true. I'm ready to go 4-0. I think it's going to be fun. And, we'll see what happens.
Everyone say a prayer for Ethan as he goes to Shannon. And I know those fans love their Shannon teams, whether it's football. I saw it with football. And now with basketball, yeah, Ethan, I'm praying they'll let you out of there. Especially with you picking Houston.
Everybody's going to be nice and cozy inside. It's going to be, Gabe will tell you this. For those of you who don't regularly attend high school basketball games, it's usually very warm in those gyms. So maybe that'll be the case tomorrow. We'll be thankful for a warm gym tomorrow. I'm sure everybody there will have a fun time. We had a rowdy crowd last week out in Calhoun City. So Red Raiders, Hilltopper fans, if you're watching this, if you see this before tomorrow, I'm expecting the energy, especially for our cheer squad of the week, our fan section of the week, whoever it is. When it all said and done, I'm looking for some big energy. It's going to be a fun one, Gabe.
Well, and you can tune into all those highlights. Ethan will have it at 6 and 10 on your Saturday. Ethan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can't wait to see what you have for us tomorrow. Take it easy tonight, and of course, stay warm. And hey, we'll see how your picks go. But
Go Toppers.
The proof is in the stats, Ethan. You are 3-0, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Take it easy. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
All right. Have a good one, Gabe.
See ya. All right, bringing it back in here to the Room to Room Weather Center. One of the things I want to note before we go is, of course, that forecast for our game of the week. Again, brought to you by Casey Lott. And a big thank you to them for at least giving us some sense of normalcy this week in the hectic week that it's been. 26 degrees first tip, 27 by halftime, and even 27 by that final buzzer. So despite it being in the middle of the afternoon, we're seeing below freezing temperatures, and we want everyone to stay safe when we're talking about that forecast. As we bring it back into our 7-day, one note that someone said in the comments, and I don't want to overlook it, we're talking about the dangerous cold. These temperatures, you need to drip those pipes tonight. Tonight and for your Saturday night, as we head into these extremely cold temperatures, we want to make sure those pipes stay intact and we don't have any damage whenever we head into the morning following. So stay safe tonight, drip those pipes, stay warm, crank that heat. If you do have that accessibility, head to those warming centers. If you are still without power, just whatever you can do to stay warm, that is essential as we get into these overnight hours. We thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know it's a little bit longer, but I think it was worthwhile because we got to preview with Ethan Boster on our game of the week tomorrow. And that will be live on the Mississippi Live Weather app tomorrow at 6 and 10. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will also be in town, giving us the latest on that forecast ahead and the cold temperatures in place. But download that app, iOS and Android, there on the bottom of your screens. Our broadcast schedule, a little bit different on the weekends at 6 and 10 on both Saturday and Sunday. But we'll be back to our normal schedule heading into the week, the work week. That's at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. And then Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon and I at 5, 6, and 10 on your Monday all the way through Friday. Stay here for the very latest on that forecast, and we'll, of course, give you all the updates you need. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Take it easy, have a wonderful weekend, and stay warm.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. We knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lobhon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lobhon has proven himself trustworthy